That might do it there. Okay, we are now recording. And hey, Curtis, I just see Curtis on. I was going to ask him about Karen, but I'll do that down the road. If there's anything that he found out about it from Rosie. But we are looking at the circle, and together, let's open. It says, the space inside
This
the
is
circle
down in the circle.
represents my realm of knowledge. All that I think I know about whatever I think I know is depicted right here within this circle. I must keep in mind that there is more to know than what is within the circumference of my awareness. Dr. Ray Hagan. As a matter of fact, before I get on, anybody kind of keeping up with Dr. Hagan? Did anybody see him this weekend? I happen to be looking at some other things, and I did pick up on him. And he made a statement. If you get a chance to look at it, it's kind of neat. He made a statement. He was using the Bible to do what he was talking about. I think it was distractions was the name of it. And he was using the Bible, and he kept saying, people have me, well, why are you using the Bible and you talk about the Bible like you talk about the Bible? And he said, well, the point is the Bible is not the word of God. I know people say it is, but it's not. And then he went on to explain, makes a lot of sense, that it's not so much the word of God. It's a book that was written by a bunch of people that had inspiration, but I don't mean don't have good things in it. Just like any novel or any book that you read. But if you get a chance to see it, it's pretty good. And he went through that. Distractions was his topic. And I think it was this past Sunday.
Okay.
Moving right along, we have, you know the deal with us, Uncle Johnson everybody.
Uncle
Uncle
Johnson.
Johnson life, prosperity, and we wish each other good health as we move along. And so you know the deal with us. We're all students, metaphysical students, and we study everything that exists, and as well as the nature of existence itself. It says whether the world is real or merely an illusion. An illusion and vibration, we get into that in time. It is a fundamental view of the world around us. And so we think in the form of vibration. And the standard slide is thought vibration refers to the idea that our thoughts and emotions emit a vibrational frequency similar to sound waves, and they influence our lives and the world around us. And so positive thoughts are believed to resonate higher frequencies, while negative thoughts resonate lower frequencies, while both, because they are thoughts, are the highest frequencies we know. This concept of vibration is often linked to the law of attraction, which suggests that like-minded frequencies attract like-minded experiences. And so we know we narrowed that down to a saying that whatever you think, because you vibrated it, you're going to feel it. That's your beginning vibration. It's your thought. And whatever you feel, you're going to vibrate it within you or to you from wherever it is. And then if you vibrate it, it's yours. So whatever you think you feel, whatever you feel, you will vibrate. And whatever you vibrate, you will attract. The word God is something that we talk about all the time. It's a three-letter word used by a lot of people for a lot of things. Other words used is the universe, the all. There's a whole bunch of terms that this word is used for. And we use it in the term because we are familiar with it. Not in the term that everybody else uses it, because we understand that the definition of the word is too big to even conceal. We can't concede it. We can't come up with it. We can't come up with all that is definitive of it. So we say that the definition of the word God is a two-letter word, simply is, which means anything that you say after that is just one more attribute of this thing that we cannot define. And so we know that made in its image is what we are. And so I am is a phrase indicating self-existence, made in the image, not the image of hands and feet and arms and legs, but in the image, meaning the characteristics of the ability to imagine of God. It is often followed by an adjective or verb or description to define a person's identity or state or action. And it can be used as a powerful personal affirmation to build self-esteem and change negative thought patterns. And we've said that we're in control, and that can go the opposite way too. It's up to you. My grandmother used to say, if it is to be, it's up to me. It's up to us
That's
to
right.
use it. That's right. To use it in the format that you want to get benefit from it. Knowing that if God is, and everything that after is said after is a form of God, we understand that we are God-like. And so I am, meaning I am as God is, can say whatever I want to after the word I am. And so we take a few minutes on Tuesday just to relax, if you will. Close your eyes and just shake your hands, relax, and just breathe. And when you inhale the I am. And what you say and what you think and what you vibrate after that is yours. And it is done unto you as you believe. So we breathe it in. We take that in with oxygen. We hold it. And as we physically do, take everything out of the oxygen. And when the oxygen is no good, it's carbon monoxide, dioxide. I always say that. Carbon dioxide. We let it go. And so together, if we will, let's, for a few times, let's inhale the I am. I am. You're in control. What do you want that to be? Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Take everything out of it. And then let it go. When you let go anything in your conscious right now that you don't need. Let it go. Let it go. Exhale. Exhale. Do it again. Inhale. Nice and easy. Deep breath. Deep breath. And hold. Not like you're under the water, but hold that thought, hold that breath, take everything out of it, and then slowly let it go. Anything else that might be left, let's start getting rid of it. We don't need it now, let it go. Okay, one more time. Inhale, nice and easy, but strong. Inhale, I am. Hold, and then finally just let it go. Anything that's left, you don't need it, let it go. Let it go. Back out into the atmosphere. And now just breathe. Okay. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Okay. Let me see. Is everybody on? Let me see where we're going. Wendy, the other day it was interesting. Wendy sent a text, and it was something we had been talking about before, and in the past. And it was about, we've always talked about in our studies what happens to the books. And I'm always pushing, get a book, get a book, get a book. Because the book, the hard book itself, once you have it, the pages can't be changed. And it was interesting. I think it was yesterday. I got the video from Wendy and it was interesting. I don't know if everybody saw it. I don't know if I can pull it up. I might be able to. Let me see what I can do here. Again, I'm all over the place with this. So let me do this. Let me do this. Let's see if I can go to Google Chrome. It's not that. Well, maybe it is. And let's go here. There it is. This was in TikTok, and I don't think it's long. I think I'll just play it. I mean, if anybody didn't see it, then you'll see it. I think it'll play on mine. I'm not a TikTok person, so my computer may be picking it up. But let's see. Let's try it. If I do this, that does that. See if it will play.
Why are they looking for antique books? Then you got to ask yourself, why are they destroying them? Mind you, a federal judge ruled that the practice that they're practicing is fair use. You know what that means, right? They're all in on it. Now, what if they decide to get rid of all physical books? The books that you don't have in your house. You do know what this means, right? This means that they can rewrite history. This means that at any given time, when they want to change information, they can change information. This means that at any given time, when they want to take information away, they can take it away. You don't hear me though, right? Just imagine that in the good old Bible that everybody reads, there are no more physical copies. And AI just so happens to think that something is wrong in this good old Bible. So AI says, you know what? I might want to change that. You catch my drift, right? My point is this. We watched people rewrite history before. And we may be watching people rewrite history again. Excuse me. We may be watching AI rewrite history again. Pay attention. Now you have AI companies buying antique books, buying rare books, ingesting their content, and then destroying these books. You heard what I just said? There are AI companies that are purchasing books, rare books, ingesting all of the information, and then they are destroying these books. They are buying these books in bulk, putting them in high-speed machines that basically destroy the book. These high-speed machines cut the spine of the book, and then after that, they shred the books. Now you got to ask yourself, why do they want the rarest books on earth? Why are they looking for antique books? Then you got to ask yourself, why are they destroying them? Mind you, a federal judge ruled that the practice that they're practicing is fair use. You know what that means, right? They're all in on it. Now, what if they decide to get rid of all physical books? The books that you don't have in your house. You do know what this means, right? This means that they can rewrite history. This means that at any given time, when they want to change information, they can change information. This means that at any given time, when they want to take information away, they can take it away. You don't hear me though, right? Just imagine that in the good old Bible that everybody reads, there are no more physical copies. And AI just so happens to think that something is wrong in this good old Bible. So AI says, you know what? I might want to change that. You catch my drift, right? My point is this. We watched people rewrite history before. And we may be watching people rewrite history again. Excuse me.
Um, let me look at that from a little bit different angle before we talk about it. I've been saying this for the longest. Get a book, get a book. There's a song that's got a whole bunch of explicits in it, and it talks about getting a book because the book is the key to everything. Let me see if I can find. There is a video that I have. Here it is. Here's the news article. Check this out, and then let's talk about it. Let me pull this out of here.
Well, the future is now, but could AI erase the past? Critics is sounding the alarm regarding how companies are training their AI programs and whether big tech is producing more pollution than we originally thought. With reports, tech companies are buying books in bulk, including rare and out-of-print titles, to train their AI models. Critics go on to allege that in an effort to remain anonymous and avoid a PR nightmare, millions of books are allegedly being sold to third-party middlemen. From there, the companies harvest the data using hydraulic cutting machines to slice the spines off the books, scan the individual pages, and then once the data is digitized, the book remnants head to the shredder. Companies are doing this because books printed before 2022 are guaranteed to be fully written by humans. They say it will eliminate some of the AI slop that's circulated on the internet the past few years, but critics say it comes at the expense of real people, erasing cultural history and destroying our environment. So I'd like to bring in Sultan Megji, CEO of AI software firm Frontier Foundry Corporation. Sultan, always great to talk to you. So first of all, just talk more about why older books or physical books published before 2022 are so appealing to these AI companies when it comes to mining data.
Well, you started off with the most important point, which is before 2022, we know and can verify that a human actually wrote the book versus it coming out of an AI lab or something like that. It's sort of like what we do with steel nowadays. Since 1945, all steel is slightly radioactive. And so when you need steel for, sensitive machinery and things like that, they go and dredge the ocean and find steel that's sunk in ships from before 1945. It's a way of ensuring that you're dealing with human, in fact, positive information.
So a lot of this criticism focuses not only on the AI training itself, But on the actual destruction of the books once they're scanned, talk about how and why these companies allegedly are choosing to dispose of the books, because we're talking about millions of books.
Yeah, it's a brutally simple reason. It's destructive scanning is faster and far cheaper. Once you run it through one of these presses, you have just a sheet of paper, and you have millions of sheets of paper. Taking that and then reassembling it is not in their business model. You slice off the spine, you have pages, and there's nothing you can do to repackage it unless you use really expensive robotics, and the market just isn't there for it.
So some small booksellers have reported suddenly going from, just a few sales a week, like 20 sales, to selling hundreds of books per week. But they do believe the customers are likely AI labs. But is there maybe a bit of a silver lining here in that business is being generated, even if that business is ultimately finite?
It is finite. That's a great point. It's a one-off sale. You're not selling 100 books a day or 200 books a day. You're selling 10,000 books in one day, and then that's it. It's like selling the seed corn but not being able to replant the corn afterwards. There's also dead inventory, so it's great for them from that perspective. But at the end of the day, it's a single sale. It's not a repeatable business model.
So, I mean, being that you are, familiar with AI, with this technology, what are your thoughts on this alleged practice?
It's a dangerous situation we're in because if you're talking about a mass market that you would buy at an airport of where there are millions of copies, I'm not concerned at all. That's a negligible issue. But if you buy 1,000 books and 5 of them there are only 1,000 copies of, and now all of a sudden that book becomes only available through a paywall through an AI vendor where you don't actually even get to read the book, you just get to read their interpretation of it. It's quite concerning. It leaves a significant portion of human history's knowledge behind a paywall, and all of a sudden I drop.
So what do you think about this? He said something, I was just jotting it down. He says, no books, only their interpretation. Huh. Can anybody see, we talked about it, where this might be going as far as the history and the books that we've been reading, the historical books of our history that actually is the real history of things that have been going on? What do you think? They already started doing this, and I was talking to somebody this afternoon who was saying that this is just a hit. This is just the beginning, and they were saying rare books, but they actually picked a period of time like 2022. Anything before that is more than likely, and they didn't even say more than likely, or a hand or a human, at least initiated or a humanly done, basically. So anything after 2022, 2023, I guess, we start getting what, AI written books and books that are audible. What do you think? Where is this going, y'all? What do you think?
The lack of real information, genetic information.
Yeah,
Some type of genocide.
genocide.
Yes,
For who?
it's definitely to build them in a way to keep the stigma of what they have done, which already been to the unconscious mind has been awoken to, but to those that still stagnated, it's going to build a wall, and that wall is going to get combative, and they're not going to be able to know what to choose or how to go, so they're going to basically stay to that platform. They're going to keep on building that up just with the nonsense that's going on in the world right now. The nonsense like nonsense. And if you have more nonsense, like when we talk about the yin and the yang, it could get a lot of ugly if you got a whole bunch of nonsense and less of the light that's coming through. So we need to really look at this as a real damper on those that's conscious and really want to make improvement of the world.
Yeah,
So we got to hurry up and unite with the minds.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of things come to my mind when I hear this, because the word myth, MYTH, when you use that word in European culture, it's a story told that doesn't have to be true. It's a myth
Right.
because people have been telling the story for a while, but from our ancestors. When you get a myth, it is a story or an experience that's been handed down through generations, and it is true. In other words, we don't have myths when you talk about African ancestry. Well, the myths that they use in the European concept. So it's not an Aesop's fable or something like that where it's a bunch of animals or something that was made up. They were stories handed down through ages were called myths. So that's a difference in the two words. And what I'm concerned with when I hear something like this is that they've already, and I'll go somebody check it, double check it when you look at it or look it up. I think there's already an okay to take an Audible book and change it. I don't know if you have to get the author's attention, approval is the word I'm looking for. But I think now you can go in. I know physically you can do it, whether they know it or not. And you can get a book and then a week or a year from now or whatever, pull that same book and it doesn't read the same way. That's being authorized. These are small ways of making changes in the history and then having the youth, the young people, read a history that's not necessarily true. Because there are books, I have some that I bought by mistake, that when you read the history, you say, I wonder where they got that from. But we all remember when we were in school, I know when I was in school, if it was in my textbooks, I believed it. There may not be textbooks today, but there may be these same electronic formats, but it's the book that the school uses. So the kids are going to say, hey, if it's in a book, it must be. This is my fear with it.
They've already stopped issuing books in school. Everything is on the tablet.
It's already
So
on tablets.
as far yes, you need tablets to participate in certain things because you just get downloads for different stuff. But for the most part, they don't issue books like that anymore. But I see it as a direct attack on us because it's our history that has been challenged and that they've been coming at. They want to change ours. Elon Musk is already fighting for the right to make AI racist. He's in court fighting for that.
Yes.
So it's definitely an attack on us. So we need to be guarding our history, protecting our history, guarding the books that we do have.
Yeah.
If there's a way for us to make PDF forms of books or to put it on some type of drive or something, we need to be doing that too because it's actually it's hard to carry books around.
It is.
And I think it's going to come a time when they're going to be trying to confiscate books. If they're doing that, they don't want you to have them.
That's right. Right. They did that with $1 at one time. I think it was silver or gold, I think it was. And if you had any, you had to turn it in. You might have been holding on to it for whatever reason, and all of a sudden the government would say, hey, if you got gold, you got to turn it in. So they could very well say, if you have certain books, it would be against the law to have those books. So that is very possible. And then the books that you might read or your kids might read may have the same name, but the content in the book does not have to say what the original book said. This is very serious. This is a serious thing that we got to look at.
Like the Bible, they already look how many versions of the Bible it is. And we already, when you participate in church services, you're listening
to
the Bible. So it's not like anything that people see as one fact is someone's interpretation. And when we first started, most of Black people in the old days couldn't read. So if someone was up talking in church, you were basically listening to what they told you was in the Bible in the first place because you couldn't read it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, to to veer in on that, it was basically Christianity that they did that to, because I mean they wrote different versions of the Bible, and there's versions of the Bible for almost anything. We got Ethiopian version, you got the Quran, you got King James, you got the New Edition. There's a whole bunch of versions of the Bible. And so when you talk about the Bible itself, you're talking about who is wanting to control who when you use which version of the Bible. Because, and I'm like Ray Agin was saying, the book is not the book written by God. There may be some inspiration to it, but it is definitely a political book. It is a book of politics, and the politics of the people who use it um, is not necessarily, it isn't all around the world. It's different wherever you go. Remember in correct me if I'm wrong, Bernard, it was 1977 that they wrote that book for this last set of Indians because the Indians didn't go for the Christianity thing. So they
Oh yeah, that's right.
went back and rewrote the Bible and say, hey, you guys are the reason why Jesus died. And when I looked them up, half of that population is not Christian.
Yeah, that's the Panera with the Panera Indians or
That's
something.
correct, Panera Indians. But we have to understand what we're looking at, because that's why we want to get books. I mean, if you can get books, get books. If it comes down to having to get rid of them because you got them, we deal with that when the time comes. But to go buy a book and find out that pages in the book don't match what the writer put in the book is a little bit different than having different versions of the Bible. You know, King James picked out the ones he wanted, and then he said, "This is my version of the Bible." And the other people did the same thing. But this is
Mhm.
different because this is actually going to affect us. Because my honest opinion is that the end result is us anyway.
Oh yeah.
So if you're looking for people who have history, who has the longest history on this earth? It would have to be us,
Yes.
right?
Mr. Paul,
Mm-hmm.
um, when you were saying like I have the Ethiopian Bible, the slave Bible,
Right.
and all of the perceptions of that. You are right, it is political, but it made me sway more to understanding of the spiritual to live, like by like the nature of it and the energy of life
Yes.
and the hopefulness and to be mindful of it. And I did something else too that was very good for me. Getting a book of etymology, so the different patterns of language could identify for words to let me know that it's a spell in certain biblical tense of versions or
Yeah.
phrases.
Yeah.
And the meaning ain't because English is like the weakest, so it's not taken as a wholesome concept of a lot of words given. So, but as me as a part of spirituality, I think the consciousness, by reading about conscious and unconscious, the consciousness way to the God, God core of love and greater to understanding, knowledge, and wisdom and stuff to be mindful. The
Yeah.
mind is definitely just what it has to be awoke. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And my saying that I don't want to, I'm not going to knock the Bible. When I say that, I don't mean that in any stretch of the word. The book has good in it. But I'm going to say this, we said it last week. If you talk to somebody, if they're a staunch, quote, Christian, I didn't say spiritualist, I said Christian, and you ask them, have you read that whole book? I can almost guarantee you the answer is going to be no.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is a fact, if you were to take every concept in that book, you would be nutty. You would be crazy. Because every concept of every aspect of every part of life is in that book. Everything. You name it, it's in that book. So the question is, if you believe in the book, the question is going to be, what parts of the book are you going to believe in? Because if you take the book and go by everything in the book for good examples, even the good people in the Bible. We talked about this before. David's a good example. David, wow, David was doing all kind of things going on, commit adultery, this, that, and the other,
Oh,
kill the man's wife and the woman's husband. I mean, just crazy. But David's hierarchy in the Bible. And I'm just using that as one example. I think if you look at it, was a Solomon was supposed to be the wisest person in the earth. And I was reading the one time and it found out that they were almost in bankruptcy. Why he was if he was so wise, why was that going on? I
right.
think and there's a lot of things I don't want to go into. But what I'm saying is believe it, go through it. But I suggest too, when we're talking books, if you use the Bible, take the time to buy a lexicon. The lexicon tells you the words in the Bible, what they mean and how they use them in context. It's as big as the Bible. It's as thick as the Bible. And it has every word in there that's explained. But my question again, for somebody who's a Christian, have you read that whole book? And the answer is probably going to be no.
And do you understand it? That's the whole point. Reading is good, but you gotta make sure you understand it. Do you understand what you're reading?
Right.
And quit making excuses about what you read. Quit giving your, I mean, I know everybody giving interpretation, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, like things that have happened in the Bible.
Right.
To me, it just is what it is. Just like when Moses went up to the and gave the commandment to kill all these people. Well, did he do it? Yes. Then why do y'all say differently? You act like, yeah, well, but those so all these kids and women, they were all bad too. Young kids, come on, man. Come on.
I
It
think
happened though.
Solomon
I
was
think
Musa. There ain't no rich kings back then, but Master Musa. Where Solomon come from? Was he really Solomon? Because only kings back there in Africa that gave out gold and had all that was Master Musa.
yeah. Well, is
So that
Musa mentioned in the Bible?
no,
Most
I'm
most
saying
was not missing in the Bible, yeah.
the version of Solomon in the regions where he at could not be no Solomon.
Yeah.
If the only person could be in that region at that time was Mansa Musa. He
Yeah.
the richest king ever in the entire world till today.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody never had money like that. Gold anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't money. It was gold.
Yeah.
So I
I
can't go with
think I think peace everybody. Hotep everybody.
Peace.
I think the problem is that the book is taken literally and it should not be.
Okay.
Um uh Brother Leonard actually said it. He said he looked at it in a different light. He looked at it differently, which tells me that he's not taking certain stories in the Bible literally. He's
it.
taking it as a lesson. And when you take it like that, it's just like any other book that you read and you put down. Harry Potter, you might find a lesson inside of Harry Potter, but you won't take it literal. You won't think that is any brooms that's going to make you fly around. But it might be a lesson inside of there that you might be able to use in your life. That's the whole thing.
Right.
Everything could be used as knowledge. That's kind of like what my dad was explaining about earlier with the AI. AI can be super bad or it can be super good, just depending on
Right.
how it's being used. And
Mhm.
so the Bible is the same way. At many times it was used. Most of the times it was. I would tell you 90% of the time it was used politically. Um,
It was
um,
always political. It was the
it was
Bible
all. I mean,
always
it was pretty much always
it
political
was
in
always
different
political.
fashion.
Yes.
So in that sense right there, because they know that that's a winning game, the Bible was able to be remixed. So now if we fast forward remixed into different books, like you said, the KGV, the New Revive, the this, the that, the da 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 da, the Ethiopia, everything. Uh, but we fast forward to 2026, and we kind of put together everything that we seeing now and back then. Just imagine with AI, with them taking the information like that and microwaving it. You're right. They can distort the messages in it. So we already got distorted messages because we don't have all of the books of the Bible. I don't care if you have the Ethiopia. I don't care if you have the
Right.
Catholic. We just don't have it. The Bible actually says books that nobody have. So we don't have the full story. So to let AI come and mangle it up even more, we
Fusion.
really in trouble, y'all.
They
More
about to.
confusion.
That's all that is. So,
Yeah.
mm.
Question about the schools though, and this is just me. If the kids are not using, what does the library look like in school now for the kids? Are there not books in the library?
It look pitiful.
Really? I never,
Not like
I just thought about it.
nah.
Was they do still have the books, the columns and stuff like that, but it's a lot of technology, depending on what school you go to. But they lessening the
Black history.
especially Black history.
I got
Well, they distorting everything. They're making it very easy. Remember, they had a big old thing about critic race theory. So a lot of stuff was taken out. They didn't want to talk about slavery. They didn't want to talk about civil rights. Nothing. They didn't want to talk about none of that. So
Interesting.
again, the message is being distorted.
Yeah. But
Right. Just like
this is the
just
beginning
like
of it. So that was why. Go ahead, somebody.
I was saying, just like with the remix they trying to do with the Smithsonian Museum.
oh, that's horrible.
I mean, that's just that's a total remix. So we already know it. I mean, I pretty much know. I feel like I know what's going to happen on that deal.
Yeah.
That's a total remix.
Yeah. You know,
But
if you
yeah.
can change the way people think about history, you can get people to look at races of people certain kinds of way. And history, well, they say it's his story, but it's again, it's like the Bible. I mean, you pick the stories that the allegories or whatever you want to call them that will be of value to you. The others you say, well, you know what? I know that happened, but I'm not going to give that no weight. That's good because you should do that with any book, probably.
Yeah. Only problem with that is a Christian, and I got my air quotes on, y'all can't see it, but a Christian would say that that other person is not a real Christian. Because if
Oh
you're
yeah,
not, and that is the problem. You literally have to take this stuff literal. You literally have to say that Moses split the Red Sea. You literally have to say that he went up there and talked to God and God gave him instructions. You literally have to say all this. You literally have to say that, what I'm saying, Eve go through pain through child bearing and stuff like that because she was cursed. You literally, because if you don't, that's one of the requirements of being a Christian.
Wow.
If
you
you
gotta believe.
don't, yeah, then you're not a real believer.
Wow.
You
Right.
you false.
Wow.
It's a
And I'm
problem.
like,
That's a problem.
like, and I think we've spoken about that, and I've heard it several times. You're looking at different stuff. When you use the word believe and not know, just remember, there's always a lie in that word, believe.
That's
There's a lie in there. Belief and believe, there's always a lie. But when you know,
if it's a lie.
it's a different story.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
I say something?
go ahead. Go ahead.
So I had a discussion, and everybody. I'm glad he said the good brother Blessings King. He said the Adam to Eve story, right? So they they get their little thing cocked up a little bit. So I said, oh my God, I think we headed for a windstorm because I'm about to break this down a little bit. Did you know Adam was married before Eve though? Nobody never told you that, did they? What are you talking about? I said, no, 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 no. You got to go back. He was married. He got married before her.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
his
God.
wife. Yeah, his
Yeah.
wife. I'm trying to. Was it? He had a
Some
wife before.
a
Can't
lot
think.
of a lie or something like that. And
Yeah.
then
Let me.
on the
some
dark
of them.
side, kind of on a little with that because she wasn't too like conscious or something like this and stuff. So I had to make a little known, and then this is where the conflict come in at because that's I'm not going with the flow of agreement, so the energy change because you can't just sell me nothing because I believe in living it. Because I listen to you, but you're not living that. You're trying to live a book. I want to live life.
Right.
Big
That's fun.
But
Fun.
well, I'm thinking about that, and think about if you say Alexa, I need you to tell me the distance from so, and if Alexa say, I think I know, I believe I
Think
know,
you right. What you mean you think you know? Wait a
I
minute.
think I know. We might get lost, but I think I might can get you there.
I'm not sure about this now.
I'm not sure, but I
Would you
think
would you get it? Would you get in the car with somebody that's you say, man,
that's
take me to
sometimes
well, you know what? I'm not sure. I think I got
I'm
enough
not
gas.
sure.
It don't show us. I
I
think.
think, and you need to be getting in the car with somebody who know
Well,
where you need to go.
I'm going to throw something out, and it's interesting because it depends on the situation. And I'm going to
Right,
use this example. Two guys on a boat, the boat gets stranded in an island somewhere, and it's just the two of them, the boat's wrecked, they can't get out. One guy decides we need to eat, so he tries to climb a coconut tree to get a coconut. And in doing that, he falls and
right.
he shatters his leg. And the other guy who's there with him says, I've never I've never fixed a leg before, but I've seen it on TV. Um, how should the guy the guy who got his leg broke feel? It depends on the situation.
Oh
But
yeah.
Oh
if the
yeah,
guy who said, man, I don't know what to do, you're gonna die. Would you rather him to say that? Or he said, I've seen it on TV and I think I can do it. What do you, what do you, which one would you rather deal with? You don't have any choice.
I,
Which one you feel more comfortable?
I don't know. I think for me, I don't know, but you think about the guy who said, you think about the guy who said he knowing, you might cause you more pain by thinking that he know. Well, I thought I was supposed to patch this up, and I thought I was supposed. You might end up with more pain than it worth. You might as well just say, I'm gonna have to deal with this.
What
I don't
what
know.
But that is better than the guy saying, man, I don't know what to do. You're gonna die, man. I don't know what are you
Mr.
gotta
Cole,
feel to do something.
Christians?
Yeah.
Huh? They
Go ahead,
Christians?
Sam.
Are they Christians and the leg got broken?
They're both Christian.
Uh,
Or did they supposed to be calling on Jesus?
Yeah, they both
no,
Christian.
That's what I'm trying to say. There you
they
go.
not with Jesus. So
I mean,
I
they
understand
supposed
where
to
you're
be.
going. Right? Actually, I totally understand what you're saying. Totally.
Right, right.
so
But
what?
again,
But
but
one you would
again,
feel better with than the one that said, man, go God, he take him, he gonna die. Stay Christian. The other one say, God
Yeah,
help me while I try to, bandage this leg up,
yeah.
put a splint in.
Mm-mm.
So,
I got you.
it depends. Every
It
situation got,
depends. It depends. It depends. I can agree totally with that.
yeah. But I think we all need to be aware of what's going on with what we get our knowledge from, which is the firsthand the books. And
Right,
today, also, remember, a book can be written in AI in what, an hour or two? You can sit down and do some stuff, and you can have a whole book written in about an hour. So some of the books written today aren't even worth reading.
right,
They're out there, tons and tons of books, but it's garbage. But you have books that are made that took the time to do research or whatever it took or experience. Those are books we should have.
right.
And those are going to be, watch what I say, the books that they go after in time. Because if you can change that thinking, you can change the future because the kids who come up under this new thinking won't have the grounding that you have and we have. So it's something to think about. Let me see, what do we do with time? Something else I wanted to do. Same stuff with AI because we want to, my mouse is acting a little strange. All right, so anything on this, because this other thing is the same kind of thing, but it's different. Let's talk about it because we're here. Let me see if I can get into here. This guy, if I can get my mouse to work, give me a second. Where is my mouse? There it is. Big idea, simply explain. This guy, Grant Rudo, is they do experiments with stuff, and we're gonna talk about this because this is gonna affect all of us. Let's just see what we got here. This is yes, number one. Check this out. Bear with me on this.
This apple and this apple are the exact same, except for one thing. I only paid $1.29 for this apple, but for this one, you paid nearly 3 times that. Not because yours is any better, it's not organic, and I didn't get mine on sale. These are exactly the same, but the algorithm decided that you would pay more than me. Let me explain.
Listen, folks, your milk might start having a rush hour price too.
These price tags started updating right in front of me.
Just stick it to your customers just a little bit more.
What a wild concept.
Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt. What do they all have in common? They owned monopolies. Carnegie was the king of steel, Rockefeller was the king of oil, and Vanderbilt was the king of railroads. These guys focused all of their time and money on one thing, and that was dominating their industries. As their businesses grew, they were able to effectively crush any competition and choose whatever price they wanted to charge. And they were pretty much untouchable. But in 1890, a senator from Ohio formed a bill that would allow the government to step in. This bill, also known as the Sherman Act, only had 2 sections. Section 1 made price fixing illegal, and Section 2 made it a crime to monopolize or attempt to monopolize an industry. As you can imagine, when the government passes a law that goes against the richest people in the country, they usually find creative ways around it. So in 1914, the government had to pass the Clayton Act, which was specifically made to ban practices like price discrimination and exclusive dealing agreements. It also created the Federal Trade Commission to enforce all those rules. But even with the FTC and the Sherman Act today, things aren't really working like they should.
Fancy way of saying your groceries are going to start acting like airline tickets.
So let's play a game to really understand what we're dealing with. Here we have 2 grocery stores, Dave's and Willie's. To keep things simple, let's pretend they each sell the same thing. Both stores sell their apples for $3 a piece. Customers don't really have a preference, so they just shop wherever their heart desires. But Dave decides that he wants to make a little bit more money, so he lowers his price to $2.50. For the next week, the majority of customers start shopping at Dave's for their apples because they're cheaper. But as soon as Willie catches on to this, he lowers his price to $1.99. Again, all the shoppers follow the lower price and move back to Willie's. As you can imagine, this could just continue indefinitely, and that's why it's called a race to the bottom. This is the ideal scenario for us because companies are forced to compete for the lowest price to attract the most customers. However, after all this back and forth, both Willie and Dave are now making way less than they did when both of their prices were $3. If they could get together and create a plan, they could both raise their price to $5 and make way more because customers have nowhere else to go for their apple.
Right.
Okay. What do you think?
They doing that already.
They're already doing this. They are. They're
Right.
already doing this. And they actually have, let's do this. Let me go. This is a little bit, we can talk more about this when he
Most
finishes.
of us learned in school. Here you have a line showing the supply, and here is the demand. The point where these lines cross is the optimal price an object should be. As the demand goes up, the price goes up. As the demand goes down, the price goes down. This used to be the main way of pricing goods, but ever since we started carrying these around, things have changed. Airplane tickets were some of the first things most of us noticed. Depending on what time of year you were buying them or when the trip was planned for, it might be more expensive or less expensive. This is what's called dynamic pricing. It's the reason Ubers cost more during rush hour and why flights cost more during spring break. Dynamic prices are set by non-customer specific variables. These are things that are determined without any customer data, but as we've started to open our lives up more and more to data collection, we've pretty much opened Pandora's box and allowed companies to take complete control of our spending. If we return back to the Sherman Act, you'll remember that price collusion is considered illegal. For something to be considered collusion, there needs to be an agreement to fix prices between multiple parties. But that agreement doesn't need to be said, written, or even directly agreed on. It could be something as simple as a wink. For example, if Dave and Willie, our grocery store owners, are out golfing one day and Dave says, man, the price on these apples is way too low. Then they both go and raise the prices the next day. That's considered illegal collusion. In other words, you don't need a direct agreement at all. You just need to prove that they are no longer acting independently. That leads us to the problem we're having today. And in order to explain this, I think we need to order some groceries. Now, Instacart has been getting some heat lately. In a recent investigation, Consumer Reports found that grocery store prices were completely different for each customer, sometimes as much as 23%. And most of us know Instacart because of their app and being able to simply order our groceries instead of walking around the aisles of a grocery store, but they are also the leading software that grocery stores rely on. I mean, just think about it. Instacart had over 250 million orders in the first 3 quarters of 2025 alone. That's hundreds of millions of data points that they can compile and sell to the grocery stores to improve their efficiency. Because it's a digital storefront, there aren't any price tags and they can update things in real time. They even acquired Eversight in 2022, which is an AI company designed to optimize pricing, promotions, and discounts. But that optimization isn't for the customers, it's for the stores. According to Instacart, the tools they've built with Eversight can increase grocery store sales by 1 to 3% and profit from additional sales by 2 to 5%. All of this being driven by an algorithm that is not only testing and updating prices and discounts in real time, but it's also using our information against us. Which brings us back to our previous point on dynamic pricing. If you remember, dynamic pricing is based on non-customer specific variables. But to do what Instacart was doing, you need customer data like where they live and what they do for work, otherwise known as surveillance pricing. It is important to note that as of December 22nd, 2025, Instacart did announce that they are immediately ending all price tests and use of Eversight technology to run those price tests, but they are still allowing tests on promotions and discounts. Now, surveillance pricing really caught on thanks to social media. As we've shared more of our lives online and taught the algorithms what type of things we like to look at and buy, we're giving them the keys to our brains and how we shop. Not just that, but the brands have also found new ways to collect even more data, and they've gotten really good at hiding it from us. All those loyalty programs you belong to, they're not really designed to reward your loyalty with free drinks and fries. Instead, they're just the bait to extract even more information from you. When you download their apps, you're giving up access to things like your location, the purchases you make on your phone, and some apps even include mini games that you'll play for extra points. But those mini games are actually designed to study your psychological habits to learn even more about your shopping style. So when you're presented with an ad or you're looking to order your next meal, the app knows exactly what to put in front of you to maximize their profit. And that decision is made by an algorithm. These algorithms are constantly taking in new information and forming opinions on you and what you're willing to spend. And this gets really creepy when you start to think about it, because these brands have built these huge profiles on us. If I lived in Beverly Hills, I used an iPhone, I shop at Whole Foods, I make reservations at nice restaurants, and I typically take 2 to 3 vacations a year, my shopper profile would feed me higher priced goods every time. And I would buy them without a second thought. On the other hand, if I only shop at discount stores, I'm already saving coupons, I never go out on vacation, and I rarely purchase something if it's not on sale, the algorithm will only ever feed me discounted items or lower priced goods, even if the discount was just created as an illusion to get me to buy more. In other words, with surveillance pricing, the price we see is specifically tailored to the way we buy and the price we expect to pay for things. But don't just take my word for it, because this is actually happening around us right now. In 2019, an investigation showed that Target was charging $4.99 for a TV on their app. But when you pulled into a parking lot of one of their stores, the price would increase to $5.99 because the algorithm assumed you're more likely to purchase if you're already at the store. Also, in 2012, Orbitz was caught pushing Mac users to more expensive hotel options than PC users. When you log onto the site with a Mac, the more expensive options would pop up first. The algorithm assumed that if you had a Mac, you were probably in a higher income bracket and could afford it. One study even showed that shoppers selecting fast delivery on baby formula were labeled as rushed parents and were assumed to not be price sensitive. So the algorithm algorithm would just bump up the price on baby items. But the problems don't stop with these brands just setting the prices, because these algorithms aren't actually owned by each individual brand you have an account with. They're typically third-party providers, which means your data is being collected by one brand, sent to another company, and then compiled and shared with who knows how many companies. And now they all have access to what makes you most likely to purchase and how much you're willing to pay. But because all these brands use the same third-party providers, the algorithm also knows what every other brand is charging for the exact same thing. And in order to explain why that's a problem, we need to look at a company called RealPage. They're a software company that landlords could use for a variety of things, but specifically, it helped them determine the optimal price to rent their units out at. Similar to Dave and Willie in their grocery stores, landlords used to set their prices with a ballpark idea of what the market was willing to pay. They did this based on things they saw, heard, or observed around them. They weren't allowed to do this through agreements with one another because that would be collusion. But by using RealPage, landlords were getting pricing suggested to them. That pricing was calculated using all the confidential data that RealPage had access to, which included all of the prices of the rental units in their area and the supply of units available. Using this information, the algorithm learned that instead of constantly decreasing prices to compete with other landlords, it could just set a higher rate for everyone and give the renters no other options. In some cases, the rental rates run by RealPage software increased by over 25% in just 11 months. It's just like the conversation Dave and Willie had earlier about raising the price of apples to $5. If everyone raises their price, there's nowhere else to go, and the customers have to pay it. But this brings us to the question. If it's an algorithm determining the prices and the landlords or companies aren't actually discussing anything, is it collusion? This has been a hot topic as AI and algorithms have completely outpaced our current laws, but the DOJ in several states did sue RealPage over anti-competitive practices, and there's currently a proposed settlement between the DOJ and RealPage that would force them to stop offering software that recommends how much to charge tenants, which is a win, but there also has been similar cases related to hotels and casino pricing that have been dismissed in court due to lack of evidence. Which leaves us in this weird twilight zone, and is part of the reason this video was so hard to make. As AI continues to advance and we continue to integrate the digital world with the physical world, how far is this all going to go? This is an electronic shelf label. You've probably noticed them at stores like Best Buy or Target, and in theory, it makes it easier for stores to reprice items or change shelf layouts. But they can also be changed remotely at any time, which means it won't just be Instacart changing the pricing in the app while you're shopping, but they could update it in real time depending on who's looking at it. Kroger recently partnered with Cooler Screens, who makes those digital freezer doors we're starting to see that often have an ad on them. But the scary part is that they also have a facial detection feature in them, allowing them to change the ad on the screen depending on the age and gender of the person standing in front of it. Kroger does deny that they're using the facial recognition technology, but we can all imagine what's possible if they decide to turn it on. Pretend you were to walk into a store tomorrow. As soon as you walk through the door, your phone pings so the algorithm knows you're in the building and immediately has all of your shopping preferences saved. As you're walking through the produce aisle, the algorithm knows you've been watching TikToks about banana bread, so the price tag on the bananas instantly increases from $1.59 to $1.99. As you continue walking through the store, you reach the freezer aisle where the camera on the door recognizes that you're with your 15-year-old nephew, and because the algorithm also knows you've been watching Netflix on your phones, an ad pops up for the new Stranger Things Eggo Waffles collab. Not only that, but the camera also sees your 8-year-old niece who always asks your Amazon Alexa to play the songs from Frozen. So it shows a buy one, get one half off of the waffles and a Frozen-inspired ice cream flavor. Neither of which were things we were planning on getting when I walked in the door, but now they're in my cart and I'm spending more than I originally intended. This is just a small example of what's possible with this technology, and it's only getting smarter and better at predicting the maximum amount we are all willing to pay. If we continue down this path, there won't be a market price anymore, and competition will basically just disappear. We would reach a state of what economists call perfect price discrimination, meaning every person will see a price that is 1 cent below the maximum amount we would pay for an item. Some people would pay $4.99 for an apple, while others would pay $1.99. And all of this is almost unavoidable. Some economists say that surveillance pricing creates a more efficient market because the price reflects real-time supply and demand on a per-person basis, but it also eliminates the free market. If all the stores use the same algorithm, you'll never be able to shop around for a lower price or find any real deals. It'll all just be a facade. There have been some proposed regulations that would require online and in-person stores to label things more clearly and say that they were price band algorithm, but all those pricing decisions we talked about are meant to be hidden from us. So how would we know if we're actually getting taken advantage of, and would we be able to enforce these new regulations?
What do you think? What do you think?
Uh,
Hi. I understand the, the students Walmart, some Walmart stores are doing it now.
Yeah, they incorporating the yeah, the new systems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Surveillance pricing, if you will. All of this kind of anything, I mean, is this stuff people already knew about? You all knew about this already, right?
no, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are all in the baby stages. Both of the things we talk about today are things that, wow. I mean, I'll start noticing what the price tags look like now, because you can tell if it's electronic looking, maybe in the store. But remember, all of this is from data we give them. He held his iPhone up. We're giving them what they need. We're giving them everything they need about us so that when you go in a store, it knows who you are. And I see problems with it. I see the lady letting the little daughter or whatever, or let the baby pick the stuff out, or let somebody else pick it out. I see a problem in the store when this gets to be big time. It'd be another reason, maybe called shoplifting, because you don't want to pay the price. I don't know. But the whole idea about it is that the information, the data that they're getting to do this, we're giving it to them. I mean, I don't know how you get around it, but we're giving it to them. So they know, they see everything. What's the cameras that look at us all the time? They're everywhere. It's got
Oh,
a
you
name.
talking about the? Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The cameras. I cannot think of the name of them right this minute,
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I know
but
what you're
they're
talking about.
everywhere. Flock cameras. That's the word.
Flocks. That's them flocks. Yeah.
Yeah. And what they're doing is those things are what everywhere, all over the place. And so everywhere you go, anything you do, there's something that's watching you. And so it's not only reason it's watching you is to separate you from your dollars. Whatever it takes to get you to do that, then they're going to play with you, which kind of leads to where we were going. I don't know what time, where are we now? To where we were going with a lot of it. So we got a few minutes to talk about it. And if we go into it, we can go into it next week to get into this.
Hey, Andre, how are you?
Right.
We talk a lot about Smai Tai we talk about balance, we talk about all the stuff that goes into things that happen. And so we're actually talking about the use of your left side of your brain and having the right side of your brain kind of go to waste. That makes sense? The tune rate, we've been talking a little bit about it because of the kind of things
It's
that happen.
it's the other way around.
Is it
The-
the left side of your
yeah,
brain?
yeah, the computer is doing all of your logical thinking, your analytical findings, is doing all your verbal stuff, is even writing stuff for you, like you mentioned, writing books for you. So you don't have to think. All you need is your right side of your brain, your emotions, your artistic stuff and everything to be active. But if they shut down that left side,
The
which is what
functional
the
side,
computer is, right, the functional, in even just to read is dealing with your left side.
right?
So if we're not reading the books, then we're looking for answers from the AI to do that logical or analytical thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
You're overly stimulated with the right brain. So they have you like a what I call a right brain zombie.
right. The function side, the side that does the analysis, let me straighten it out too, because I sometimes you can get them confused, is the part that does your verbal, your math and your analytical, your logical is a key word there. Another side of that is the analyzing side of your brain. And then the right side of your brain is where all of our creativity comes from. Um, balance is what you want. Smai Tai we, yin and the yang, mayat, all those things talk to balance. And so what's happening with AI is that it is on purpose making us one-sided.
That's right. Which why I say you're a right brain zombie. Because if they got you as a right brain zombie, then you're acceptable for anything, for any trickery. You open to it. You no longer have that side that think logical or break down problems for you. You allow the technology to do it
Do it
to you.
for
So
there you go.
yeah, so
there you go. There you go.
so our thing is not you have to be able to stimulate. That's what smart we is. It's the joining of the unification of the two lands in the physical, but in a mental sense, it's the unification of the left and the right. It's the up and the down, like when Dad say the yin and the yang,
Right.
the universe and universe being the macrocosm, and we the microcosm of that. We everything inside of us represents the universe. So it's my we the coming of together, the union of man and woman.
Mhm.
Uh, so when we talking about the left and the right, it's like the government, it's like the body of the United States. Let's put it like that. You have the left wing, you have the right wing. And a lot of times the left and the right, they don't get together. But if you think about it, the crux of the whole thing is for the left and the right to work for the body to be able to move, which is us. We the body. So when the left and the right not working together, then we the ones
Off balance.
are off balance. We the ones that, we going to going to left, we going to right. In this case, when we're dealing with AI, you completely shut down your left side of your brain. And you only deal with your right. You overly stimulated in the right. That's why the kids are hypersexual now, because they only dealing with the right side. That's why the kids can read, they can say words, but they can't comprehend what they're reading. That's a real problem. You tell
Mhm.
them, you tell them the exercises that we learned when we was in school. Now put it in, put this paragraph, read the paragraph, but put this paragraph in your own words. They cannot do that.
Yeah,
And that's
I don't
that's a right brain zombie
I
there.
don't know. I don't know. Playing the games, the video games or whatever they are now all the time. Well, there's still no creativity in that. I was gonna say maybe that would
Well, even the games back in the days had more substance to it, as far as
the
excuse me, as far as like
left brain
actually
input.
learning something. Yeah, stimulating the left and the right.
Input.
Because even the games that, again, I call it's a new technique of oppression. Uh, we over exceed everything that they said we wouldn't be able to do. Read, build stuff, this and that, and they tear down every single thing to the point where they get to the point where because they're ahead of us. They say, you know what? They are learning stuff. They are doing stuff. They are moving. They are making money. So what we need to do is, again, somehow shut down that left side of the brain. Because if they continue to keep using that left side of the brain, they're going to keep asking us questions. And we're going to have to answer
That's true. That is actually true.
it. But if we get them just to overly stimulate that right brain, what's going to happen is, and we talked about this earlier, that we're going to have, do y'all know that we have more millionaires in our black community than we ever had?
Yeah, sure.
And
Oh
most of
yeah.
them are under 25 years old.
Right.
So now we got to ask, why are we still in this situation that we in? Why are we still asking from everybody else if we have more millionaires? What it is these millionaires are right brain zombies. They're active, they're making money because if one person have 20 million, he made 30 billion for the company that supported you. That's not a thing. What they worried about is if the left brain is stimulated in some way, then they might take that $20 million and sang for it. Then they have a problem. See, right brain zombie is good business for white supremacy. Left brain and right brain smart tyree stimulation is terrible business for white supremacy.
I agree. I
But
agree.
that not risk nobody.
Say that again,
Well,
brother.
that's done on purpose right there. That's part of the attack. Never, well, we just talked about this, Dad. Never once did they ever want a white girl, but
Go back.
because the status of having money
Yeah,
and a higher income promotes to have a somebody that's up to that par that society think is up to that par. Now you have to have it. You
yeah,
have to have it to belong. So they give it to you and you accept it. Again, if you're a right brain zombie, you're not even thinking logically.
right.
So you're acceptable to all the tricks, all the banana in the tailpipe.
Oh,
Black power is not a hate thing. The difference between just a simple surface difference between black power, and I know a lot of people don't like to say black and all, but we using it as a as a nomenclature. We need something to cling on to, y'all. So black power compared to white power is a huge difference just as far as black power means to mind your own business. To make sure that the interior, the visceral, the inside is taken care of before we deal with the outside. And the inside of us is to have both sides of the brain stimulated so that we won't fall for things that we have fell for before. If we only right brain heavily stimulated, then we're acceptable to anything. That's why there is no revolution now, because revolution is not in the minds of this culture. It's all about how much to be uber rich and how much to get the money and do this so I can show what I got.
right.
It's not to help any. So again, when we talk about black power, it's not hate. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's about the self-love. It's about the inner. And then once we learn ourselves and we understand ourselves and we somewhat get on the same page, we don't always have to be, at least need to be on the same chapter because right now we're not even in the same book.
Right. That's right.
But once we get on the same kind of movement, we'll be strong people again. The tides have changed. But until then, we lose in the fight because stuff like AI is a machine that's moving in warp speed and is moving very strong and fast.
And the good thing about it is that when you look at the left and the right side of your brain, I mean, hopefully everybody's not thinking that, that the left side is better or the right side is worse. If you'll notice that there is a quote total balance that's needed here. Because again, you need verbal and nonverbal communication. I mean, our ancestors had a lot of nonverbal. They didn't use the words like we're using. They were using words that didn't have vowels. So they were making sounds. But what went with the sounds was what? Emotional imagery, if you will. And that had to be logically picked up on the other side. So what happens is you use both sides. It's gotta work together to make things happen. And what AI is doing, and this is what we're alluding to now, it's making us one-sided, and we don't even know it. A lot of us don't even know. Something to think about. Pretty good. I think. Go ahead, Chris.
I think we've been like headed towards the one-sidedness for years already because
It didn't just happen. You're right. It
no,
didn't just happen. No, it didn't just happen.
and I always say with the amount of alcohol and weed and edibles and all the pills people pop, we are very docile and nobody's sober. Everybody's self-medicating. So if there was a situation where we really needed to be strategic, it would be a struggle for most of us because most of us are never sober.
Yeah.
A lot of us, not all, a lot.
Yeah. Joy Degree is the lady's DeGroot. What's her name? What's the book? The book is
Joy DeGruy.
Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome.
Yeah, Dr. Joy DeGruy.
Joy DeGroot is a very good book to read to understand why we think like we think. And a lot of it is programming. A lot of it is the very same thing we're talking about now. It's just been going on before the computers happened. This has been going on. Somebody mentioned about the church. There was a time when you look at, as a matter of fact, on the cover of the book, I think it's the book, the religious instruction of the Negro. I think I showed a couple of weeks ago, we pulled that book up. It shows a congregation in a black church years and years and years and years ago, and there's one white guy sitting there. Well, his purpose for sitting there was to be there until the preacher said what he wanted to say and how he wanted to say it, and then he stopped showing up. And so now you got a plantation or a group of plantations or whatever they did, and they're getting the word from this guy, and they're thinking because I'm getting it from my preacher, this black guy, it must be okay. The Bible said it, I believe it.
Wow.
See how the circle is? It's all tied, stuff is all tied together. You know, we gotta learn to think a certain way. We talk about our subconscious mind and the stuff you feed into your subconscious mind. Bernard was saying that a little bit earlier. You are the sum total of what's in your subconscious. You
Right.
are the sum total of whatever's in your subconscious. That means if there's things you don't want in there, you got to work on either replacing them with something like a bad habit or stopping them because you have the ability to just say, I'm not thinking this. I'm stopping this now. Because then it won't get down there. Once it's in your subconscious, it's going to stay there. And the weight it has throughout your lifetime is up to you. It's what you give it. If you can replace we're doing it now when we talk about Christianity and stories in the Bible that weren't true. Well, the stories don't go nowhere. But the values of the story in your mind has changed. And this is what we do. Good stuff. Oh, let me check the time. We get over, we start doing stuff, and time goes by. It is 8:24. I don't want to go over too much. We can get more into this. It's a good subject, and it relates to things that's happening to us now. It's coming. It's not that we can stop the stuff that we looked at in the videos. It's coming. The question is, how are we going to react to it, or how are we going to respond? Not react, respond. Anybody else have to kind of running a little bit low on time? We're about 10 minutes over, but that's not too bad. So what I'm going to do is this. Let me get back to here because I wanted before we close, I have to tell you, I cannot remember where I got this from. And I've been looking and looking and looking and looking, but I copied it because I agree with everything that's said here. And if you can't read it, let me read it, and then we can go from here. The person that wrote this says, I love the fact that the ancestors already figured out and included many of the laws of modern science before Europeans even discovered the importance of bathing properly. And this is true, very true. The law of conservation of energy basically explains our relationship with our ancestors. And it says, if energy cannot be created or destroyed, our ancestors don't cease to exist. Their energy is merely transformed. And that is what we connect to. Boy, that's powerful. That is very, very powerful. Something to think about. And so with that, I think I need to go back to our, bear with me.
I'm with you.
Okay. Everybody see my screen?
Mhm.
We're good. We've adopted this now. And we're now saying the light of our ancestors surrounds me. The love of ancestors enfold me. The power of ancestors protect me. And the presence of ancestors watches over me. Wherever I am,
Where I am.
ancestors are too. It is true. Thanks, everybody.
All right, good night.
You know
Uncle
the
Johnson
deal.
there.
Uncle Johnson, everybody. Thank you.
Uncle Johnson there.
That's the love.
All right.